As an organisation, LYPFT are looking to promote a positive and safe way of managing challenging behaviour and reducing the use of restrictive practice. It's really important to recognise the many reasons why people who access our services might become distressed and how this might affect their behaviour. It's equally important to reflect on the role staff play in helping them deal with it safely, and that sometimes we might not always get it right, and it's important to learn from that. Provide training to support clinical services in effective methods of managing potentially challenging situations and aggressive situations. We're keen for service users to have a voice in staff training, and we're looking at ways that we can achieve that. We wanted to explore how they feel and if we could do things to manage things differently.
I had a chaotic family life upbringing, and it all led to hostels, and I had nothing in my life, and that's where my path started, and it led me into the Beckland Centre, where about 2009-2010, as I say, I were really unmanageable and restraints were necessary. I didn't know that this was the case though. Quite often staff would just be around me and be ready to kind of attack in a way. That's how I saw it anyway, because I didn't know. I wouldn't have anyone explaining exactly why they were doing it or how they were actually going to do it, what the process was. I saw it as a challenge. Afterwards it was pretty much the same thing. I didn't have anyone asking me about what happened. It's a distressing situation. You feel like you're being attacked, you're being assaulted. If someone restrains you the right way and explains it the right way, you don't get that, as I've experienced, but with the wrong explanations and actions behind it, you almost feel like you're in danger, and you've got to protect yourself. I know that isn't the case now, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind, and I didn't know. I just did not know. I wasn't really involved in the process afterwards, the care plans, because no one had sat down with me and explained care plans and explained I was supposed to be involved in that part, because I never was. The way that the staff treated me afterwards, it confused me, because they didn't seem like bad people, or like they wanted to hurt me, but after the restraining, I didn't know how I was supposed to think. You've just come at me and now you're talking to me nicely. Are you fake? It was quite confusing, but I will admit most of the staff I did not trust, because I thought they were fake.
The sharing of service users' experience always creates a lot of group discussion and is now a highly valued aspect of our training.
I've been restrained a few times when I was in hospital. I was restrained at the Beckland Centre and at the Newsom Centre. Looking back now, I think at the Beckland Centre it was probably appropriate. Although at the time I hated it, looking back I think they did it respectfully. Some of the time I was just trying to get off the ward. I was trying to escape because I wanted to get out, I wanted some fresh air. The people that restrained me, there was probably only one or two people that did it, and they technically just held me tightish until I'd calmed down, and then they slowly released me and took me to my room and spoke to me and calmed me down. When I was at the Newsom Centre, it was completely different. It was very brutal, very harsh, way over the top. One time when I was putting a plastic bag on my head to tie it, there were about 5 men that came out of various rooms and were shouting and got hold of me and shouted, "Get her arms, get her legs," and forced me to the ground, forced my arms open, forced my legs down. One of them ripped my iPod off me. I felt as if I was being punished. Very brutal. They seemed to be enjoying it. They practically dragged me to my room and pushed me in my room and shut the door. Far too much force was used. I was upset. I didn't know what was happening. I was bewildered by the amount of force. I felt as if I'd done something wrong. I felt like a criminal. I was distressed and unhappy. If there'd have been 2 there, it wouldn't have been so bad, but having 5, it was very distressing. It made me feel worse, and it made me feel like they just didn't care. It was like a big joke to them, bit of entertainment. In the Beckling Centre, I was held until I'd calmed down, and then I would be walked to my room, and somebody would then come and speak to me, ask me what the problem is, how they could help me. It was done in a respectful way, but in the Newsom Centre, I just felt worse. I just felt they were punishing me, they didn't like me, they were using as much force as they could. We're in charge, we run this, we run it our way, and if you step out of line, you will be punished hard. Crushed physically and mentally. I think now that I realise people do need to be restrained at times, but I think it needs to be done respectfully and with a minimum amount of force.
Our hope is that these videos are just the beginning, that they prove to be a launch pad for a more collaborative way of working between the PMVA team, staff and the lived experience of service users.